Hi guys, this is Henry again. We got another bat rep today. This is from my first game of the Second Chance Vassal World Cup. I'd like to apologize. I forgot to record, or I only saved the file from one of my World Cup games. I was too focused on the games, totally spaced saving them. I was going to do a recap of the first World Cup, or like the main World Cup, but I just didn't have the footage for it. Essentially, I was in a group with Angry Ewok, Docta, and Zilius, I believe. Let me check on that real quick. Yeah, Zilius was the last member. I think Docta has a video of that if you want to go check that out, just like of our pod in general. But basically it was Angry Ewok running his Akbar list he's been running forever. Zilius running 8 Arc 170s with Tarkin, like a Gar list. So that's a ton of hull to get through. And then Docta ran probably like one of the most frustrating lists to fly against. I think that was by design. It was an Onager testbed with Quasar, I think, demo, and a Gauze, but it had Moralo in it. So long story short, I went 1 and 2 in my groups. Didn't make it out. I wish I had those games recorded. I think I only recorded one of them, like I said, and I totally forgot to do the other 2. So I ended up in the Second Chance tournament, and this is the first game from that. I'm going to try especially hard to record the other games so I can get those all uploaded. But this game was against Xantos. Like I said, first game of the tournament. I am running, I should say, my list basically from LVO with a few minor updates. It's just the LVO list, except I swapped H9s in for XI7s and dropped Ezra from the MiG-30, and then added Bright Hope to Torin Far because she died in a bunch of my, like in almost every LVO game. I won almost all of them, but almost every time Torin Far died, and so this makes it just a little bit more annoying. Drops my bid down by 1 point. I don't think that's too big of a deal. I don't mind going first or second, and 3 points I could still get to choose in a lot of games. Like I said, if you want a full breakdown of this list, you can watch my LVO recap, and I plan to do a more in-depth breakdown of this eventually. My opponent, Santos, is running Kraken on a hard cell transport, then he's got a hard cell battle, a Muni with pretty standard upgrades. I guess the highs and decaps is interesting. I don't know that I've played against many Munis with that setup, but he's got that on there with engine techs. And then he's got Pat's Fist over here. Not the Swivel Pat's Fist, though. He's got the Rax LTT Pat's Fist. And then 3 generic tries and the Sniping Ace. We tied for bid. He won the roll-off, and so he chose to go first. He picks from my objectives here, and he ended up going with Asteroid Tactics. I swapped Asteroid Tactics in to my list. I originally had VIP in here, and that's what I took to LVO. But I swapped in Tactics for this tournament to try something else, see if I like that better. Gives me obstacle control and the exegorths if I need them, but mainly it's just to make Lando so much more lethal. I should hopefully be able to have no problem using his ability because I can get tokens back most of the game. So I'm going to speed through a lot of this game because I don't want this to be as long as previous battle reports. I had obstacle placement, so I spent quite a long time with this. I haven't played Tactics in a while. I ran a Armada Interdictor list back in the that one-day Swiss tournament last year, which I'm looking forward to that again this year. I played Asteroid Tactics every game then. But since then, I haven't played Tactics in a while, so it took me a little while to set up all my obstacles. Went ahead and put them all over on the side here, my thought being that if he wants to deploy away from them, that's fine, I can slow roll, and if he wants to go through them, I'll have the advantage of recovering my tokens and using Lando and stuff. As it turns out, the objective isn't super relevant this game, but I feel like that's a lot of Asteroid Tactics games. It's not super relevant. So like I said, I'm going to try to go pretty fast through everything here, all the deployment stuff. He ends up putting everything over in the corner there. I briefly consider I guess I'll go through this. I briefly considered putting the MC30 out here and having it come along the side with the hope that it can swing up like that, because he's got Patriot's Fist at speed 3 and speed 2 on the Muni right here. And so if he's going to be bringing Pat's Fist down and around like this to come after my Assault Frigate, I was thinking about deploying out here and then either coming into his side and really hitting him hard that way on the flank and just like slow rolling the first couple rounds, or see if I can get him to point at me for like 2 or 3 rounds and then I can, you know, get out and around here. But I ended up not going with that. I thought it was just a little too out there. I hadn't practiced doing that in any games, so I just deployed on the back here. This is the end of the deployment. So I've got everything at speed 1 along the back, planning on just slow rolling and letting my squads do something and seeing what he does. There's, you know, second player, not a whole lot of pressure on me to go in there, and then he's got everything coming in pretty fast. So let me continue through. We'll go fast through the first round. Not a lot happens. So he moves up. That's his flagship there with Kraken on it. I do a transport. He thinks about Pat's Fist. A little overlapping. He stays going decently fast, and so I'm holding slow still. He goes up to 3 with the battle refit. I stay at 1 here. Just some squad movement, and then at the end of this round I'll go over the board state, just trying to get there quickly. Okay, so Exos go out. Alright, so start of round 2, this is what we're looking at. His ships are screaming in. He's got max speed going on the Muni, speed 2 on his flagship, speed 3 on the battle, speed 3 on Pat's Fist out here, and I've still got everything at 1. So my thought process is here, Patriot's Fist is kind of out of the fight for at least the next 2 rounds, because he can move in speed 3, and I think I can stay out of long if I remember correctly. So I'm not super worried about Patriot's Fist. I'm not super concerned about trying to kill it at this point. I am mainly thinking about this Muni coming in pretty fast on the outside here, where the Assault Frigate can turn into it, and going second player, and then maybe this is a tip for people who are not super experienced playing with black dice ships as second player. I know the meta for a while has been you want to have first player with your black dice ships so you can move them in, shoot, and then get out. With the MC30, what I like to do a lot, what I've been trying to get better at, is giving my opponent hard decisions, or like no good option, where the MC30 is targeting 2 ships, and so at the start of the round, your opponent has to choose which ship they want to not get shot with and try to get it out, and then the MC30 can shoot something and then fly away, because it really doesn't want to brawl that much. Foresight kind of helps a little bit, but you really just want to come in, nuke something, and then get out. And maybe if you have an opportunity to come around back into the game, if you're not too damaged, then you try for that. But with the Rax build, I am really just looking to dump a ton of dice on something, hopefully cripple a ship, and then get out. And so my thought process here is that as he brings these 2 ships here towards the middle, which I assume he's going to do, I can move the MC30 into a place where he doesn't really want it to be, dump my racks, do a bunch of damage, and then get out. And then swing through with the Assault Frigate. The Assault Frigate, the math with this basically works out to, if it starts getting shot round 4 or later, it's not going to die. I can't think of any situation where it starts getting shot round 4 or later and it dies. So with it out here, I am very confident that it's not going to die this game. If he wants to spend time shooting it, that's fantastic for me. I took a salvo with Agate, and I've got the RBDs and everything, so if he wants to shoot it, that's totally fine with me, because he's not going to kill it with it starting out here. So let me go ahead and continue here. More thinking about movement. He goes up to 3 with his flagship, which I'll get to that in a little bit. continues 3 with Pat's Fist, who is still out of range. Speed up with Tauren. He comes down to 2 with that battle refit. I go up to 2 with the Assault Frigate. I'm still, at this point, not super concerned about bringing it in yet. I'm thinking about using it as a finisher at this point, and so it's I'm not charging it in quite yet. And then he goes with that ship, and I get my MC-30 last. So I'm just checking ranges of stuff, checking arcs, because the MC-30 can take a decent beating, especially at long range with foresight, but I don't want to expose it to too much danger. So I decide to hop forward like that, putting me out of Pat's Fist range. And I'm thinking that the end of next round, I want the MC-30 to be in a place that's bad news for him. So again, more squad movement. I'm still holding back. There's just too much flak there for me to jump them in yet. I could have sent at least a few of them in there to attack the generic tries, but he's got 2 RHDs, and he's got all that flak there. I just thought it'd be best to hold them back for one more round before I go in. So I ended up putting everything in the front of that Muni arc kind of as bait, and it kind of worked out, as we'll get to. We're just measuring line of sight. I move exos, and we go to round 3, so here's the game state. He is still coming in fast. He's flying pretty well, of like having, if anyone's seen the movie Hoosiers, like they say, let's run the picket fence at him. This is kind of what that's like, where he's swinging this like a gate almost, down and around, just a wall of firepower. He's going to swing it down towards me. Excuse me. And I've got my plan being I'm going to either turn in to him here and try to brawl, or I'm going to go up and out. And so I've given myself options here. He's coming in fast, trying to close the distance as quickly as he can. So it's going to come down to how much damage is this thing going to take before it gets out of there, or is it going to die, like that kind of stuff. With Pat's Fist being out here, it's not doing a whole lot, and it, spoiler alert, does not do a whole lot this game, as you'll see. One thing I said I wanted to talk about was him bringing his flagship up to speed 3 here. That, with Kraken, is a pretty juicy target. I think it was 80-something points? Maybe 80 exactly, actually, because this is 3. Yeah, it's 80 points, which is pretty juicy for a small ship that dies quickly to squads. And so I'll debrief after the game is over, but that's something to remember, that he brought that up to speed 3. So, going into round 3, he's got first shot here. He decides to go from the battle refit to my side. He con-fired, so it's going to be a very decent roll by him. I'm going to cancel 2 with foresight and redirect 2. So yeah, that was a very good starting roll for him. Made me deal with probably 1 more damage than I wanted to, but foresight's just great. So more moving here. I slow Tauren far down. Then what does he go with next? He goes with his flagship, and very much keeping it in the fight. Like I said, keep an eye on that. Next, I pull off the maneuver of a century. Let me just zoom in on that. I was fully ready to hit, like to ram, but I guess I still got the moves, as Tobey Maguire would say. It fit in there like a glove, so definitely meant to do that, obviously. Just tuck it right in back there. So he goes Pat's Fist, nothing in range. I had done a pretty good job of keeping the McDirty out of range, and just because Pat's Fist deployed so far over there, it was kind of out of the fight. So it comes around, and now it's kind of bearing down, but this is also round 3, so it's only going to get to shoot rounds 4, 5, 6, which is great news for me. I want to go last with my McDirty again, so I think about going to speed 3 there with the Assault Frigate to bring it in to more of a threatening range, but his command ship is right here. It can't turn that far down here, and so it's either going to have to go straight next turn or come up here where this is going to be waiting for it. And that's a little foreshadowing for you. So it's the Muni's activation. and it's doing a squadron command. So he sends in the 3, and he talked through it, like he talked his thought process out loud through this, and he decided that he wanted to try to go after Shara because he thought I would throw Shara in and lock down his tri-fighters there, and just send my squads after his ships, which it makes sense. I probably wouldn't have done that because Shara is total BS. Like, trying to go in and fight her, letting her counter over and over and over and over, that can really wear down stuff, especially squads with 3 hull. She can almost always, she's got, 25% chance of missing, so she can almost always one-shot 3 health squads with the crits and hits on her counter. And so he wanted to lock her down. I don't think I would have sent her in there anyway, just because of the amount of flak. Like, she's almost assuredly dead, and I'm fairly confident I can wipe his squad ball anyway without too much trouble. It's technically, with RHDs, like 6 tri-fighters, but he wanted to pounce on her, try to lock her down, and maybe even kill her in one go. So, it's, again, not what I would have done, but it's, it is what it is. It's not a horrible play, just maybe not what I would have done. And we talked about that after the game as well. So he rolled a natty double, but that's an easy scatter for her. And with Torrent Far, reroll, she one-shots it, as she does. So that's 1 RHD down. Second shot, he gets the all-important accuracy. Or, what happened there? Why didn't he? Oh, yeah, so he got the accuracy, and he locked down my brace. Just so I had to spend my scatter, which I did. And Shara whiffs there. Doesn't kill it. I say whiffs, 2 damage is not nothing. He brings in the ace and snipes for 2 damage. Got a good accuracy there. So good roll by him. And then this is another interesting decision, and something else he thought a lot about and decided to go this direction. Instead of popping his decaps and shooting the MC-30 this turn, he had 6 of my squads in range. I kept Corrin out on purpose, but he had 6 of my squads in range, and so he wanted to try to flak them all down because he knew I was going to use them to come into his ships later, and so he wanted to get plink damage on one of them, or even one-shot Shara here, because if that red is damage, he can just LTT 2 blacks, and if those are damage, then bang, Shara's dead. So I don't hate the play from him. I guess he thought he had enough firepower coming through here as well, where it wouldn't matter, and he'd still be able to kill the MC-30. But he decided not to shoot it this turn and instead flacked. And so the blank there, still went for the LTTs on Shara and just dealt 1. I don't know about that. Rolling the blank and re-rolling it into a blank with the red, I probably would have just flacked everything else instead of blowing LTTs. But he, I guess he just really didn't want her on the board anymore. So he slowed down to 1 and kind of put himself in a not a terrible spot, but in a place that I'm pretty happy with. I went ahead and started flacking things out the side. I killed the guy on 1, so he had to RHD it. And then I think I whiffed, or I got 1 more damage. So Torrent Far is amazing, but she didn't do a whole lot for me there. Time to move. So this maneuver, I spent a lot of time thinking about. I needed to get out of medium of pacifist. So yes, he can still add the blues, but my evades will work, and I can cancel 3 if I need to. And B, I needed to end up, I think I pull it up here. Yeah, let me back that up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I wanted to get, and this is what I talked about with having to find a way to be threatening as second player with a black dice ship. The Munificent, despite having a very good nav chart, can only go speed 2 naturally, so I'm 99% sure that there's no way he can get out of my double arc. Like, he can ram me, maybe even land at speed 1, but he cannot get out of the double of this ship. So This is a situation where I'm going to take a pounding, absolutely, but I'm put myself in a situation where I've got the close range double arc on this ship. I have a nav token and a nav lined up for next turn. Always be navving, especially with these things. So I can just go speed 4 out here and basically be safe the rest of the game. So as long as he doesn't, by some miracle, one-shot me here, or take me super low to where I don't want to shoot him because of the salvo, his Munificent is in a really bad spot now. Because it can't get away, it can't move. It's just going to hit me and stay where it is, or just move closer. And so I, with H9s, know that on both of these shots, I can turn a blue die to an accuracy, and he'll never be able to brace. So I'm going to strip his shields and maybe even do some hull damage, and then I'm going to be out scot-free. And so this is exactly the kind of thing you want. You either want to be in a situation where your opponent can't escape, and you get at least your side, if not double arced on something, or be threatening 2 ships at once. So just to go forward to the rest of this round, Exos don't have anything in range. He moves that Tri-Fighter in to lock down Shara. So squad phase. I decided to go with this outside guy first. Shoot that Tri-Fighter. Great roll. You love to see that. Didn't even have to Torrent far. Now Shara is free, so I just get her out. 17 points. Got to preserve those. Very lucky that she survived, but can't have her fighting anymore. It's more important to not give up 17 points, especially since those tries are each worth 11 and the ace is 17. So there's no need to keep her there. Move this guy down and whiff. I get the 1 good roll and then the 1 bad roll, so it leaves that guy on 1. Counter for 1. Then I kill it. And now he's got no more RHDs, so I'm starting to finally take him off the board. Ketsu comes in. Ketsu is notorious for whiffing against squadrons. At LVO, she was absolutely terrible. And then came in to snipe that guy. What a roll from Corin Horn. You love to see this. This is exactly what you want. He also didn't perform great at LVO, but man, except against Sam. Bombing against Sam, he did great at LVO. But against squads, he did not do great. But this was a fantastic first shot for him of the second chance Vassal World Cup. And then Lando, it's I can guarantee kill that thing now. It just comes down to, am I going to have to use Lando's ability or not? Turns out Torrenfar saves the day with that blue reroll, and that thing is gone. I do something a little stupid here. I use Lando's ability to have him reroll both of those. I should have just braced it to 1, because odds are one of those is still going to be a hit, so it's 1 anyway, and they both reroll into hits, so it was just stupid from me. So I'm so enamored with Lando's defensive ability. I think it's very underutilized, and so I try to use it more than I probably should. But oh well. Anywho, going into round 4, here's the board situation. Ships really haven't taken any shots. I think this is taken 1 shot from a hard sell, but this is the board state. Let me zoom in a little bit. Like I said, MC30 has a double arc on the Muni. Assault Frigate is coming in and around, so I'm either going to use it to attack the Muni or bring it down here and try to trap that ship. Pat's Fist is coming. This is Hondo. I don't think Hondo is long for the world, so that's a fine casualty for me. I am willing to lose Hondo if it means Patriot's Fist doesn't shoot one of my actual ships. And then squads, wiping all of his squads in 1 turn like that was exactly what I wanted, because for the next 3 rounds I can just bomb away. Which is exactly what my list wants to do. So I think I've always tried to make this archetype work with Imperials, particularly the last 3 months. I've been trying to make it work with Imperials, and it just doesn't as well because their rogues aren't as balanced as Rebels are. These Rebel rogue can all shoot ships and squads pretty much equally well. They're very good against both ships and squads, and Imperials not quite as much. There's a lot of other reasons that the Imperial Rogue list doesn't work the way I want it to. Maybe I'll do a video about that someday. But having his squad screen totally gone, basically killing 6 Tri-Fighters in a round and a half, that's exactly what my list wants to do. So we begin round 4. He goes with, I believe, the Muni first. Let's see. He's checking for his dials. He spent quite a long time thinking about it. So he had a Confire on the Muni. He uses that. He is going to shoot my side and rolls pretty darn good. Foresight, I was going to, because he's got highs, I was just going to have him reroll all the blue crits, but that double accuracy and double blue crit, I mean, all damage on those rolls, that's basically as good of a roll as he could hope for. So that stinks. Highs, strip shields, and now I'm not sitting in a great spot. A bit more, it took a bit more damage than I was hoping to. I was really hoping to not take highs, because MC30s, once they lose their shields, are very vulnerable. Here he flacked out the side at Lando and LTT'd, so Lando's down to 4, which I think that was the right play by him at this point. He rams, like I said, literally no move that gets him out of there. And so he's down to 5, I'm down to 3. And so then, unsurprisingly, MC30 goes. And front shot first, pop racks. Beautiful roll by the MC30 to get things started. H9's that to an accuracy, lock down the brace. He does redirect and salvo. 1 damage salvo, we take those, absolutely. And then second roll, not as great, but Ordnance Experts comes to the rescue there. We go ahead and accuracy that brace. Same deal. He burns the other tokens. So he takes the damage of, I think that was depowered armament. Not relevant at all, but it puts him down to 4 hull. And then he rolls a much better salvo and make it into 2 hits. So I go down to 2 hull, which is a bit spooky, but like I said, speed 4. You know, I can get totally out of danger. And that is how you want to fly MC30s right there, especially as second player. You get in, you be annoying, deal a lot of damage. Like, I have totally stripped this Munificent of all relevant shields and dealt 1 hull damage, and it rammed me. So technically 2 hull damage, and now I'm out. And I'm not giving up those points. And that is exactly how I wanted things to go. So let us continue. Who's he go with next? Spends a lot of time thinking. He goes Pat's Fist. That's the crucial accuracy. I cancel 2. And the face-up is damaged munitions. Oh darn. But the fact that you got that accuracy and just enough damage means puts me on 1, Hondo dies. So, yeah, that you always hate to lose a ship before you activate it. And I didn't even get to use Hondo. Didn't really need to. But, yeah, that kind of stings. But like I said, because of him having to ram it and spend his time shooting it, Patriot's Fist now only has 2 turns where it would be able to shoot relevant ships, which is not enough for it to do anything of value. Especially, like, if it shoots the Assault Frigate, who cares? Assault Frigate's not dying. So, Hondo, you did your job, being a little roadblock down there. We continue now. I decided to go with the Assault Frigate here, because I want to be able to place it exactly where it needs to go. I don't want to end up in a situation where I bump my flotilla and not get the Assault Frigate where it needs to be. Decent roll. Puts the Muni on 2 hull. Is it 2 hull, or is it down to 1? I thought it was down to 1. No, it's at 2. Let's see here. This was my side shot at Patriot's Fist, just on the off chance. You might as well take that, right? Could maybe kill it. So here we take the opportunity to... I decide that if the Muni was on 1 hull there, absolutely I'm ramming to kill. I don't mind staying back here. Like, this is where I wanted to get to anyway. Because now, do I pull up the arcs? No, not quite. But basically, the the assault frigate's arc here is in a great spot. This ship is currently speed 2. If it comes in speed 3, that's way too fast. Even if it slows down to 1, I think it's still double arced with the way I have flown this. So I'm really trying to, it's like kind of like chess, right? Like I'm trying to threaten where a piece has to move. Like I'm trying to trap here. And so I want to make sure that I get double arc, or at very least position myself to, get a good shot next turn at the flagship, because that's the next target. This is dead. My squads are going to eat that alive. So the next target is his flagship, because it's more valuable than this 80 point, or this battle refit hard cell. I'm trying to think, what are these shots? I don't remember exactly what those are. Whatever they are, they're not relevant. I think that was at the assault frigate. That's right. Make him spend the invade. Yeah, that's decent. I think at this point he was still thinking about trying to kill the assault frigate. I don't 100% know why he turned in here. I guess to try and threaten the assault frigate, swing Patriot's Fist around next turn. But it's just too tanky. And it's, to his credit, the assault frigate is deceptively tanky with Agate and RBDs and stuff. So some people don't know that there's almost no chance of killing this ship in a game state like this, but I appreciated him turning in like that. Maybe just wanted to have fun. I absolutely respect that. Get in there. That's what the game's about. Torn Far comes in. This is exactly how I want to fly Torn Far, in the middle of everything, so she can help squads, help ships, even if she dies, whatever. This was his flak shot, which his blues were pretty hot anti-flak, but man, his blacks were just not great against my squads, and so that was at Lando. Lando does his ability, reduces that to 1 damage. You love to see that. And then that shot was out his side for nothing. So I guess he did whiff on that blue. Spend some time thinking about how he wants to move here. Blah, 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 blah. We move things, and then squads go in. I send a generic to attack that, because I want to save my harder hitting squads for other ships. So the generics go and kill the muni. A lot of people get upset when my generic YT-24s roll hits on their bomber dice. It's a 75% chance. It's more than likely they're going to roll hits. As you'll see later, they kind of cool off, but 75% chance. I think a lot of people expect non-bomber squads. It's like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that much damage, but that's the beauty of the black anti-ship die, and that's why they're so good. They get the 4 anti-squad and the 1 black anti-ship. They are very, very consistent. I can count on 2 of the 3 of them to deal damage, if not all 3, every round, which is really awesome. But their strength is not anything new. Corn Horn for 1. Then generic for 1. And he took that one to the hull. Ketsu. I get so upset when she does this. Because double blue bomber, you should not be rolling double accuracy. Like, yeah, it can happen, and it's dice. Like it's a probability that this can happen. But man, I feel like she does this to me all the time of the double accuracy. So unlucky. Reroll on the Torn Far. So I have a very love-hate relationship with Ketsu. I send Lando in. I know the more I send him in, the greater the chance of him dying. But if he rolls like that, I mean, of course I have to send him in. So he elects not to re-roll that double, which I thought was interesting. I guess he wants to keep his evade for the assault frigate or something like that. So got 2 damage on that hard cell on the command ship. On to the next round. So I guess I should break this down before we go into round 5. This is not where you want your command ship to be. Facing down the barrel of an assault frigate and 6 rogue squads. This is not what you want. So, like I said, and let's remember back to round 2, he came in just a little too fast here. And I 100% bringing it in as fire support. It's dice. I mean, that's not nothing. 2 red and a blue. That's not nothing. And it's got flak support. But I probably would have played a bit more safe with it because it's not cheap. Like, you really don't want to lose Kraken. It's not a cheap ship. And the way that this battle refit is way out here without its front arc pointed on something relevant, I probably would have just tried to go around out here and not bring myself in the danger zone. It's probably inevitable that my squads can get to it and munch it, but you don't want to be this close to my assault frigate at this point. Patriot's Fist is just a little bit too far out of the fight to be relevant, and this battle hard cell is totally useless at this point. So just a case of, I think he came in a little too hot too fast, and I am all for being aggressive and flying hard and fast, but in this case, maybe going a little slower and turning a little tighter might have been the play, or deploy this on the outside and just have it go around the edge. And we talked about that after the game. But this is the board state. At this point, this ship is totally fine. It's going to live. It's not going to be relevant the rest of the game, but it did its job, and the assault frigate's in a great spot. So he decides here to go with Patriot's Fist to try to kill Torren Far, which I think is a bit of a misplay because the hard cell is currently double arced by the assault frigate. I would have gone with this ship, like, yes, that hard cell's dead, but you at the very least can bring it up here or something and try to block Torren Far and get to shoot her later anyway, or at least get to use its armament, and maybe it does something against Torren Far, or at least flak these squadrons. I probably would have gone first with this ship because it's in a bad spot being double arced with the assault frigate. But he wanted to go with Pat's Fist to try to kill Torren Far. Everybody hates Torren Far. I understand why. So he shoots her in the side, unobstructed. And on the rerolls, gets his accuracy that he needed. Or sorry, I think he krakened that accuracy, so he was guaranteed that. I canceled 2, and what was was this a structural or what was this? Yeah, so I would have lived, except I pulled the structural. Or excuse me, sorry. I would have been totally fine, but now he gets to move and ram me because bang. So his recusant rammed and killed 2 transports. You love to see that as a recusant player. Transports are so annoying to deal with. Pat's Fist does pretty well against them. But again, using Patriot's Fist to kill 2 transports is not necessarily the best use of Patriot's Fist. And I think part of that came down to how I flew and the options I gave him, and part of it to Patriot's Fist just coming down a little bit out of position. So like I said, got the double here. I'm going to take that every day. That's a pretty solid roll. He has me re-roll that, I believe is what that was. Yes. And second shot. Another pretty good roll. I get the black from Paragon. Has me re-roll both those reds. And so it takes that, I believe, down to 1. Yep. And now it's just a simple act of where do I want to end up after I ram. So, like I said, this is a great position. This is Lando continuing to defy the odds of the blue dice continue to be hits, and the black dice just are not there for him. So Lando has gotten lucky many a time at this point. Just the black dice have been terrible for him from flak. He thinks a lot about this move here. He's kind of just in a tough spot with where he is. Couldn't really do a whole lot there. I move out, and then it starts squads. So he has me reroll. There's a blank, which is important. There's a damage. Let's see. There's another blank, so 2 of them whiffing is not great. Then Ketsu comes in. Add a girl, Ketsu, that's what we want to see. I believe Corrin comes in next. Yeah. Corrin with a natural double. You love to see that. He rerolls that into a crit. Good luck. I do the Lando thing. And at this point, I am 100% sure sending Lando in there. Lando's dead because the Requisite has LTTs. He gets to go first with this ship anyway, and this has LTTs and double flak. Lando is dead. But my thought process here is if I can trade Lando for this hard sell, which is just over 60 points, I believe, that's a great trade. That's like a plus 40 for me, basically. So Lando, being as lucky as he's been, is going to die. But I am trying to burn this down, see if I can snag some extra points for MOV. I know I've won the game at this point. I'm just hunting MOV. I'll just go fast through this. It doesn't end up working out. He repairs with it. Lando survives another shot because his blacks are just terrible. So that's great. Then we move. And then finally Lando meets his demise, even with rerolls. There was a little confusion about stuff, but Lando's big dead. So then movement. I think he accidentally LTT'd twice there, but it's not relevant. He moves, I moved, and comes down to squads. Roll a hit. Good start. Second one goes in. We're in a good spot here. Third one whiffs, which is not great. So then Corrin has to deal damage here, and he whiffs. So that's the game. So ended up being. Let me take a look. I forget the exact MOV. Just bear with me for a second here. Ended up being an 8-3 with a 156 MOV to me. Obviously no points from the objective, but losing the 2 transports in Lando and trading it for the Muni and the command ship plus all of his squads. That's pretty much about how I thought it would go. I don't think his list has a great matchup against mine, just because my rogues can do really good work and my ships are hard to kill. In another world, he maybe kills the MC-30, but also in another world, I maybe kill this battle refit. So, ended up being a fun game, a really fun game. I like playing against Separatists. It's, I think, a very fun faction to play with and against. I still love my list to death. I think H9s is absolutely the correct change for this MC-30. Bright Hope, I could take it or leave it. I'll have to play more with it. But getting H9s is fantastic. But yeah, this was a great game. Xantos, thank you for playing. Best of luck in your rounds going forward. I don't know who I'll play yet in the next round of Swiss, but I will hopefully record that. I'll hopefully remember to keep the log files and stuff and do another battle report then. So expect that probably next week or a little later, depending on work schedule and when I play my game. But thank you very much for watching. This has been Shyvalry, or Henry if I know you in person, and I'll see you guys in the future. Thanks.